Hi, welcome back to the Wine Zone. I'm Konrad Ejbich. 1961 was a great vintage in France. But for my next guest, Sir George Fistonich, it was also a terrific year in New Zealand. Sir George founded Villa Maria Estates in that year, and in the 50 years since, he's also purchased a couple of other wineries, and, well, let's face it, he's survived 50 years of winemaking. Welcome to Toronto, Sir George.
Thank you. Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Well, that's a good question. Is it morning? Right now for you in New Zealand, it's 10:30 a.m. in Toronto, the center of the universe.
Yeah.
And right now in New Zealand, it's tomorrow at 3 a.m.
Well, yes, it's the middle of the night, about
So-
3 a.m. on Tuesday. Yeah.
By New Zealand standards, you're a bit
Yeah.
behind the times right now.
No, we're ahead.
No.
I'm
You
behind,
got to
yeah,
catch up when you get there.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
So tell the truth. Why did you really come to Toronto? Was it to avoid the winter?
No, to tell you all about Villa Maria.
Villa Maria, right. Now, so in 1961, folks were drinking sherry,
That's right. Yeah.
port, and other garbage.
Yeah, 90% of the New Zealand wine industry was drinking sherry and port, and the other 5 to 10% was liqueurs like cherry brandy.
Yeah.
Table wines were almost non-existent in the New Zealand context.
In 1961, how old were you?
I was 21.
21. So
Yeah.
at 21,
Yeah.
well, I guess that's the answer. I was going to say, what possessed you to make wine in New Zealand, in what was and then considered a backward country for wine growing?
Yeah.
What possessed you?
Well, I had Croatian parents, and Croatians actually always had wine with lunch and with dinner instead of tea or water. And I was brought up in the Croatian environment, and a lot of Croatians were winemakers, were making wine for their own use. And my father actually sort of believed I should have had a trade, so he made me do a carpentry and joinery apprenticeship.
You're the second born.
Yeah.
So you don't get the profession, you get the trade.
That's right.
Right.
My older brother did law. So I did my duty those days. You did what your parents told you, and I could not do that now with my children or my grandchildren.
No, of course, the times have changed.
But anyhow, I just sort of loved the wine industry. I thought walking through paddocks and walking through vineyards and going to wineries, visiting
I love it too.
other people. So I just made a complete change of career. I want to be a winemaker. So I leased the property off my father, half a hectare of grapes that were making our own wine, homemade wine, and started Villa Maria Estate in 1961. October we registered the company. I got married the same year, and away we
Brave
went.
man.
Yeah.
You really lost your mind in every direction. Got married, went into winemaking.
That's right.
What else?
So we had 3 children under 5 years old. Yeah.
So we're still talking about New Zealand. How long did it take before New Zealanders actually accepted your wine as like important and genuine and like real?
Well, funny enough, my 1962 vintage, which I actually entered 2 red wines, 2 dry reds I've made in the Royal Easter Show, which is still going. It's one of New
Yes.
Zealand's main shows. And I got second and third prize. So there was a first, there was a second and a third, no gold medals. But getting second and third actually created a little bit of a stir for a small boutique winemaker. So it sort of got me a little bit on the map.
That gave you some confidence too.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about that? How'd you feel at first? Young guy,
it was-
22, climbing up to the podium with all these old famous guys.
Yes, it was quite exciting.
Yeah.
And then my brother was actually doing law. He was at university, so he brought all the law students out, and he started to promote the red wine and started to try and get sherry drinkers to convert. And
Yes.
they thought we were crazy, that what's this horrible dry stuff. But eventually we sort of built it up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And did it come through? It did eventually come through, but you did have some hard times. I mean, you went into receivership. You lost everything.
Yes,
You lost everything.
Well, yes, in 1960s.
Is that right? You lost everything?
Yes, yeah.
Your house? Car?
Well, not my car, but to get around. But I did sell my house and scaled down.
Yes. Okay.
And brought back in. That was actually in 1985.
Was that the lowest moment in your life?
Well, it was the build up to it. I mean, it was about 8 or 9 months price war. It was a vicious price war. every time a truck of wine went out, we were losing $10,000.
Oh.
And the only good thing, we did recover. I lost 3 stone in weight. I took up walking and a bit of meditation, and I came out a far better person at the end of it. And we made an amazing recovery. We actually got the public. It was actually a vicious price war by a big corporate.
Foreign corporates, or other New Zealanders?
It was a big New Zealand corporate company that came in. They weren't wine people, they were
Mm-hmm.
like a corporate finance company,
Mm-hmm.
and they decided to rationalise the industry,
Mhm.
and commoditise it, sell wine cheap. So in the end, we got public support. We got support from our staff, took a full-page advertisement in the paper saying they wanted to keep working for Villareia.
And then the country got behind it.
Yeah, the country got behind us, and our sales went up, and people started to eliminate all the corporate wines and list us, and we made an amazing recovery. Within 6 months, we paid back all our debts, and this year I got a partner in who brought 50% of the company, and I managed to fund the other 50% and
Right.
get back in.
When you're down at the bottom like that, you're face down in the mud. Basically, it's as ugly as it gets. You're face down in the mud. It's raining. The cows are walking on you, right? Where do you find the strength inside to say, no, I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back. I'm going to do this. This is mine. I want this. I want it.
Well,
Where?
by nature, I'm an optimist. I always believe in the positive. I'm always looking ahead at the positive. I always believe that every problem, every bad thing is going to turn into a positive. Or like I was saying, every negative's got to have a positive. You've got to get a positive out of it. And as I say, one positive was I lost a lot of weight and I'm a lot fitter. But when I was getting into the drama stages, I took up walking. I'd get up at 5:30 in the morning and go for a big long walk.
You're almost obsessed with
Yeah,
walking.
yeah,
Was it just to get all that excess energy out, or were you thinking about something?
Just get yourself in a state of relaxation and calm. I know one morning I was going into a very savage meeting where the corporate was actually trying to buy me out and offer me money, and so what I did, I went for a big walk that morning, and then I just sat on the chair in the park and meditated, just slowly thought about things quietly. So when I actually got to a meeting, I was in such a state of calmness that the people were almost getting angry with me, and all I could do was smile and say, look, I'm not selling, I'm staying in business. And they were saying, but do you realise that you must be just about out of money? And I said, yes, but I'm going to fight through. And so I think it's actually really having attitude. I've done a lot of work in this company. I love this company, and nobody's going to bloody well take it off me.
Absolutely.
And the receivership in New Zealand, receivership was voluntary. You actually go to the bank and you say, look, I can't carry on any longer. If I go any longer, I won't be able to pay the wages or my bills. So can we go into voluntary receivership where you freeze everything? And they put a receiver. And having said that, quite often that's about the end of it.
Right, that's it. But at the same time, it gives you a period of time and you survive that.
And I was probably about 1% to do survive that. I was quite fortunate. We did actually, on the eve of the receivership, win 3 trophies in Australia. We won a trophy for the best Sauvignon Blanc at the National Australian Wine Show, plus a best Pinot Noir and a best white wine. So we managed to generate a lot of publicity about that.
Yeah.
But trophy-winning winemaker bulldozed out of business. So we had a lot of
absolutely great way to do it. Great way to do it. I mean, just get people behind you, and especially people will put their hand in their pocket. So at that point, you were on the comeback. What was your greatest sale, greatest transaction? Was it like after having come back and then being able to purchase other wineries, or was there something else?
Well, I had purchased varietals probably about 10 years earlier.
Yeah.
Mainly because I had a big grape supply and I needed grapes, and I was starting up, coming from probably one of the younger companies coming up. So and then the Escalade one was actually a result of the price war. They virtually lost all their money.
Right.
And because because they saw me recover and I sort of helped them out a bit, they said to me, look, we don't want to sell to the corporate. why don't you take over our
Right.
company now? You're
Because
on
at least the
path."
company will be preserved.
Yeah.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
Now, I was, in 2001, I was, I had two funny stories about 2001, but I was invited to New Zealand to come for Pinot Noir in New Zealand.
Oh,
first,
yeah.
first in New Zealand Pinot Noir. But one of the things we did was we went up to Gimlet's Gravels.
Oh, yes.
And there we stood on the top and looked over the entire valley. And M.W. Stephen Smith was there, was talking about the importance and how the region itself had gone beyond any governments and had decided that it was going to be a region. Right, and that's in large part because of what you started. You focused on those grapes in that valley.
Yes. Well,
20,
actually,
30 years earlier.
well, we actually brought, we had about 500 acres out of the 1,800 acres in Gimlet Gravels, so we were
Yeah.
the largest holding there.
Yeah,
Yeah, we planted a small vineyard initially and saw the potential. There were quite a few people actually that sort of got into there. I sort of felt that it was something that wasn't going to happen again. It was such a fantastic little area
yeah.
that we brought about 5 or 6 different properties over a period of time. And so we make all our magnificent reds actually.
It's going to ask about that area. Is that where your most expensive grapes come from? Like you're buying all over the country.
Well, between Pinot Noir from Otago and probably parts of Marlborough are very expensive too, so it's probably equal to Pinot Noir at the very top level.
Yeah, the Cabernet and Merlot and Gimlet's Gravels, fantastic. In 50 years, I mean, you were just a little kid. It was a completely different industry. What's been the most significant change that you've witnessed over the 50 years?
One of the very first things that we probably changed was grape growers, contract grape growers were coming in, and they were farmers and orchardists, so their sort of culture was big crops,
Right.
Like a farmer wants plenty of grass,
Right.
And so what we focused on, which I think has been where we won a lot of awards, we managed to educate our farmers and our orchardists into being wine drinkers and wine lovers, saying if we're going to be part of the growing wine industry, you have to reduce your crop.
And
So-
they could only understand that once they tasted that wine
Yeah,
from their
yeah.
own grapes. It's
Yeah.
either water or it's wine.
Yeah, we actually paid them more to grow quality grapes.
Yeah.
But it's funny, when the culture was so strong that even with more money to make quality grapes,
Yeah.
it wasn't good enough, so we started doing education sessions, and that virtually, we changed the culture of the grape growing in New Zealand. And so that was very significant. That was one thing that's put us in very good stead. The second biggest one was we went right around the world, screw caps. We declared Villa Maria a cork-free zone.
Yes.
And so I'm now drinking wines that are 10 years old, the Chardonnays that are in screw caps, and they are superb, magnificent. I believe that's been a tremendous change. I think when we went cork-free, New Zealand was probably about 10%
Yes.
screw caps. Now it's probably 96, 97%. And virtually, I mean, you might say that New Zealand's almost totally now cork-free and screw caps.
Thankfully.
A few exceptions, yeah.
Yeah, I've done the experiment right here on the counter where I had 2 Chardonnays
Yeah.
from the same tank,
Yeah.
okay, both on Terra Chardonnays, 2002, at exactly 10 years of age, one in cork and one under screw cap.
Yeah.
And it was so clear. I mean, you can see by the color, you didn't even have to go for the nose, but one was reductive and the other was good.
It's actually amazing that people still use cork, because all the evidence is so concise about
What can you
cork
say?
paint and oxidization, but it's tradition.
Some people
Yeah.
don't use computers yet
No,
either.
no. Well, sometimes tradition can be repeating the same mistake year after
Yes.
year after year.
That's absolutely true. Just because it's traditional doesn't mean it's right.
No.
Yeah, no. But wine isn't everything for you, is it? I mean, there's got to be more than business
Yeah.
for you. Tell me, what do you do with all your money now? Do you have hobbies, passions, obsessions?
Well,
Fast cars?
Well, actually, the wine industry is not really a money-making industry. It's well known that people, film stars, doctors, all these professional people, all put their money into wine to save tax.
Yeah.
And maybe they do because the wine industry tends to lose money. But I've
Sure.
managed to.
Well, when you're the biggest, most awarded winery in the country, you're probably making money. But that's not about the money. It's not the money, Sir George.
No.
So what are your passions? What do you do when you're not thinking about wine?
Oh, well, actually, I've got 3 children, 6 grandchildren, so family commitments take a lot of time.
Yeah. When you get together, is having a Barbie or you sit and read poetry?
Yeah, we've got, well, yeah, we love barbecues. I was playing golf, but I actually had an accident and hurt my shoulder, so I've been out of golf for a while.
Yeah.
But actually, in the funny ways, we're doing quite a bit of travelling, which is a little bit mixed with the wine industry.
Well, now it's part of celebrating, right? It's like a around the world vacation where we're saying thank you to ourselves and promoting the wine at the same time. Yeah.
Wine industry is a great lifestyle because you're almost like a farmer, orchardist. When you get into winemaking, it's a science and an art.
Well,
and,
it's the best of all worlds.
Yes, and then you get into sales and marketing and business, which initially I felt quite hard because as you get bigger, you get out of the winemaking and all the sort of things you love. But then eventually you find it's all about people and psychology and sales and marketing and travelling the world, and that itself is a great experience. So the wine industry for me is something that gives you a complete picture. We even have 2 restaurants at our winery, so we even get down to serving the wine and doing wine food matching. So it's a very complete lifestyle, and I think I'm very, very lucky that basically it's my hobby, is my life.
That's great. That's great. Well, I want to thank you for dropping by. Mm-hmm. I'm really thrilled. I want to congratulate you again on your 50th vintage of this Sauvignon Blanc. Sir George Fistonich is the founder of Villa Maria Estate, and this is the 50th vintage of Villa Maria Sauvignon Blanc. Cheers, thank you.
Thank you
for coming, I'm really pleased.
Yeah, nice having a chat.